Again, my name is Jennifer, and I'm with the Chamber of Commerce. So thank you all for coming out. What I'd like to do is I'd like to introduce our moderator. His name is Ted Holt. Ted has done this before, so we welcome that and thank him for giving us his time tonight. Just a little bit about him. He's been married to Sally for 41 years, and they have 2 daughters, Tanya and Laura, and they have 3 grandchildren, Jack, Paper, and just recently, I guess, Ella, their new little granddaughter. He's been an administrator for over 30 years in skilled nursing facilities. He's currently the administrator at Sun Gardens in Sun City. He comes to us from Toastmasters of Grand Terrace. That's Club 290, and he's been there for over 20 years. That's where he gets opportunities like this to actually come and help us run our programs here. Ted is an avid cyclist and spends many weekends on the Santa Ana trails. And his favorite cycling quote is, "May the wind be at your back."
Oh, yeah.
Ted, if you'll come up, please.
Thank you, Jennifer. Thank you very much. I'd like to have the flag salute. Mia, come forward with Gail.
I first wanted to introduce Gail. He's a resident here at our community, and he's an amazing person. Gail is an Army veteran. He served from 1965 to 1968. He has 4 children, 2 boys and 2 daughters, a son in Florida and a son in Georgia, and then the daughters live here in Riverside. He has 10 grandchildren and 1 on the way. What inspires us about Gail is he's a stroke survivor. And look at him now. And he coaches every Saturday for his little granddaughter's softball team. So I think that's amazing. I also love that he's an Angel fan, and he also knows an Angel third base coach.
Third base coach.
Yeah, so I think that's neat, because I'm an Angel fan. So we want to honor that Gail will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Okay. Probably a good idea I have this. I used to have a manly voice, but since my stroke, I am left with a little girl voice. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Gail. Thank you, Mia. I want to thank you all for being here. It's like the neighborhood. Really appreciate it. We'd like to thank a lot of people. I'd like to start, too, in mentioning Grand Terrace Toastmasters. I've been a member for over 20 years. John's been about the same time. But it's just a wonderful organization. We meet every Friday right here in Grand Terrace at 7 o'clock at Asia Hills. And it's a great organization to help with your public speaking skills. So we'll both be there Friday. Be happy to have any of you come as guests. Really appreciate it. We have a lot of people to thank. One person I'd like to mention is somebody that was in Toastmasters, was a charter member, and that's Tony Pettit. And Tony was our first mayor, and I was thinking, if Tony wasn't here, or didn't do all he did, we probably wouldn't be meeting today, because Tony was so responsible for getting a city Grand Terrace. So it's just a great organization. We have so many people to thank. Lucy Adams, the executive director. Lucy, where are you at? Oh, let me read a little bit about Lucy. They really helped hosting this event. Lucy's been with Brookdale for 12 years, starting at the age of 16, serving in the dining room. Imagine that, started at 16. She said, that's all I know, is this business. Then moving up into various positions such as concierge, caregiver, med tech. Lucy developed a passion for seniors and decided to go to nursing school. She has been a licensed nurse for Brookdale Riverside location since 2013, and recently received a promotion as executive director at Grand Terrace. Lucy has 3 sons, ages 9, 3, and 1 year old. On her spare time, she loves going on adventures with her 3 boys and spending time with family. So thank you very much, Lucy. Mia Wilhide is, or Wilhide, sorry about the Wild. Community Relations Director. Mia has been assisting living for 10 years. She's lived in Grand Terrace, Colton area for 10 years. Mia had several family-owned businesses here in Grand Terrace. She has a passion for educating families and seniors of what assisted living is all about. Mia has been blessed with 3 children and 1 granddaughter. She loves to spend time with them. Let's give her a hand. I want to thank the Grand Terrace Chamber for putting all the coordination that took to put this together. I really appreciate all that you've done. So this is not a debate. We want to be very respectful and be efficient with our time. We're going to have, everybody's going to have the same question for the mayoral candidates. And we will, let me go through the timing. So if you can watch the timer, we will have a maximum of 3 minutes for each question. And when you have 2 minutes remaining, you're going to see the white card. When you have 1 minute remaining, you have the yellow card. And when you have no time, the red card. You all see the cards okay? Is there any questions at all?
I don't see a yellow one.
I didn't either. What the heck was that? Is that orange?
It's yellow.
I'm with you, sir.
It's like an orange sherbet.
It's an orange sherbet, so are you okay with that? Are we okay with that? Okay. So these questions came from the community, and we came up with a good way of deciding who goes first and second, just by chance they pulled the number. So Darcy McNamara is going to be our first speaker. On the ballot, it's business owner mayor. And Sylvia Robas will be the second speaker, and she is Mayor Pro Tem. So, for the first question. In following the city's current mission and moving towards its long-term vision and goals, where do you see us needing to be, and how do you propose to help us get there so that Grand Terrace residents can have a safe and healthy place to live and raise a family?
Thank you, Ted. I just want to take an opportunity to thank the Chamber of Commerce for hosting this. Thank you to the Toastmasters members for being here. And thank you to all of you for taking the time to come out tonight. So the question is, in keeping with our vision for the city, where do we need to be? What would my role be? Where our city needs to be is focused on economic development. Although we have many services that we need to provide that are very important for us to focus on, such as public safety, making sure that our roads and infrastructure are set, shoring up the Mount Vernon Hill, making sure that we have storm drains. All of those are very important. And we do have funding available to us through various tax measures for our roads. But until and unless we strategically focus on economic development and selling our remaining successor agency parcels to commercial retail businesses and attracting the types of businesses that our residents want and that will bring others from outside. We have a whole area in High Grove that's growing. They need places to shop. We need to be the destination for that. We need to make sure that we continue to keep up our parks and our roads and remain safe, because that keeps our property values up. And that helps us to get to our goals. But until we can bring up a sales tax revenue to enhance our ability to provide these services, we need to continue to focus and focus and focus on economic development. And my role as a council member and a policymaker is to make sure that staff understands that our main goal has to be economic development so that we can support all of the services that we need to provide as a city and that our residents deserve to have as residents of the city of Grand Terrace. And so as we focus on that, we need to not be distracted by all of the things that are nice to have. We need to continue to listen to our residents and understand what they want and what they want to see in the future, and we need to make sure that we have opportunities when they come up to write for grants for those things. The Blue Mountain Hiking Trail is a very nice to have, but it's also something that keeps us focused on ways to provide for our residents and to maintain quality of life. And as that is one of these nice to haves on our list, we were able to go after grant funding to allow us to build that park. So I will go back to, we need to focus on economic development, but have in our minds our focus, the thing that the residents want, so that when opportunities come up, we are ready and poised to take action to write for those grants. Thank you.
6 years ago when I was elected, is this on?
It's a little bit tricky.
Okay. Can you hear me now? Okay. Thank you all for coming this evening. I appreciate it. Civic engagement is very important. Not a lot of people are doing it nowadays. 6 years ago when I got elected to the city council, we were pretty much facing a fiscal crisis. There was very muddled. There was a big change in how the city was funded. But let me go back to 1978. I was a resident here, and 82% of us voted for cityhood. In the Local Agency Formation Commission report, it said, but in 5 years, to remain solvent, there's going to have to be some kind of tax measure done, or the city's going to face fiscal uncertainty. I know I voted against the utility tax. No one told me about how it fit into keeping Grand Terrace solvent. And we kept going. How we kept going is we used redevelopment agency money, over $4 million that we had to pay back. And so how do I get to the mission? Well, the mission is we have to understand this first. We started with 1 foot into the pit, and we need to understand that. We have, in the specific plan process of development, that's going to do 100 plus acres on the freeway. That is going to bring not sales tax revenue, but property tax based revenue that is going to build up the financial base that we've been waiting for all these years. I'm so happy that that is in near reach. We have goals for a safe city. We cannot be a nanny city council. I am not going to impose a tax I have no legal authority to, but I'm also not going to stand in the way of residents by impeding their right to their voice, whether they want a tax for more police protection or any other service. So anything in that vision is really up to the citizens, and I'm going to support that wholeheartedly. We are near to becoming successful in our financial base with new property tax base. Remember, Stater Brothers was supposed to save us. Well, they brought property tax, but sales tax, groceries are not taxable. Unless you buy alcohol or hot and cold delis, that's where the tax base comes. And guess what? We don't know what they're bringing in because it's a secret. And that's unfortunate. But that was tallied forth as that was going to be our saving grace. So we're almost there. We're almost there. And anything else nice that we want, it's up to you citizens whether you want to impose any more taxes on yourself. And that's up to the citizens. Thank you.
Thank you, Sylvia. Our next question for Mayor Darcy is, as mayor of Grand Terrace, can you tell us what you believe your role is? Please expand on what you believe to be your duties.
Thank you. The role of the mayor in the city of Grand Terrace is mostly administrative. So my role begins as a member of a 5 member city council. And the bulk of my role is to work with my council members, to represent the city, to create policy, to give direction to our city manager. The city manager is our day-to-day chief executive. The mayor has additional duties above and beyond city council duties, and that is one, administrative, to run meetings, to sign documents, to be the representative for the city out in the community. And so a lot of times you'll see mayors showing up and doing ribbon cuttings, throwing out the first pitch of a baseball game. Those are all the fun things about being mayor. And I like to find ways to engage with the residents, because first and foremost, I'm a representative of the residents who elected me to serve on council. And without an opportunity to have an open dialogue with them one-on-one, finding them where they are and listening to their concerns, it makes it very difficult to represent them. And hearing individual voices really starts to give a picture of the multi-facets within our community. As a representative of the city council and of the community, it's finding a way to listen to all the residents and collectively come up with an idea of what they have in common that they want to see. And some of those basic things that most residents have in common is they want a safe place to live. They want a nice environment. They want to be able to go to places to eat. They want to be able to have places locally to shop. For a long time, residents wanted so much for a high school, and that has become a reality. So now with that high school, we have other opportunities. We have other opportunities to engage with our students. We have other opportunities to be involved in the education of our elementary school students and our middle school students through participation in their activities, such as going on campus and reading to them. We have an opportunity to engage through our faith communities. One of my roles, I think, as a council member, and it helps when I am the mayor because I do get calls many times, is to bring all of those people together to share their vision. Thank you.
You know, we have a peculiar situation where we created elected mayor, but there is no other duties than presiding over the meeting and being the face of the city council and signing documents or being at public events. But there is an important role to be had. You know, we have the city manager that's the chief executive, but we're the policy maker. And we have to make sure we have the framework that we're deliberating in the council in such a way that we're driving the agenda. You know, we're the voice of the people. You elect us, not a city manager, to run things. So what I envision doing is having, for example, when we want to set the agenda, we set it at the end of the meeting, the mayor holds the gavel, and it's up to the mayor to say at the end of the meeting, council members, is there anything that you want on the future agenda? There's also the role in how we have the dialogue. We have to have an open dialogue. This isn't a brisk business meeting. This is because of the Brown Act, the notice of the meeting, the only forum that 3 or more of us can be and discuss your affairs and how we're going to spend your tax money and drive the future. And so I'm proposing that we have some ad hoc committees so 2 council members can dig very deep into the agenda and to come back and report to us so we have more deliberations going on than a stilted meeting where, you know, do I have a motion or a second? You know, can you hurry up and finish talking? So, you know, because then it becomes where the city manager is driving the agenda and we're almost, if we're not careful, going to be rubber stamping an administrator's agenda rather than our own.
Thank you, sir. The third question is to Dorsey. If you've been on the council, can you tell us what you will do differently in the future and why you haven't done it in the past? If you have not been on the council, can you tell us what you plan to do differently from the current or past council and how you plan to accomplish it?
Thank you. Oh, good, it's on. I have been privileged to serve on the council since 2010. And the face of the city has changed in that time. And so I was honored to be reelected in 2012. And the face of the city has changed since that time too. I was honored to be elected as mayor in 2014. And with this particular council, we have seen the city to a place financially where we have not been in probably a decade, maybe more. When we started looking at our budget in 2010, we started wondering how the city would survive. And where we stand today is that we are sustainable, but we're not yet healthy. And we need to move to that healthy place. And that means focusing on delivering the core services that we need to deliver. And although it's tempting when we have additional money, additional revenue, to start a lot of programs that aren't one-term projects, I know that we as a council really need to look at holding firm on that kind of spending. When we have one-time money, we need to be spending it on the infrastructure projects that have been needed for decades, that have been needed since the time when we had a redevelopment agency and we missed our opportunity to spend on those things, to deliver the infrastructure that the residents deserve and have been waiting for. And so as I look forward to serving on another term, my focus will be on making sure that we stay the course with spending wisely, with finding funding sources that allow us to do the projects that have not been done either because there was not the will of the council to do them at the time, or because there was not the funding at the time. And the way that we can leverage the money that we have through other funding sources, through grant funding, we really need to focus on those. And we need to make sure that we do the projects that have been promised to the residents. And we need to make sure that we do the basics, like making sure our roads are nice to drive on, that don't fall apart, by making sure that our parks are what they should be, by making sure that our citizens feel safe in their homes. Thank you.
There's really nothing differently that I would do. You know, we, meaning all of us at the council, have been pretty successful. Tuesday we had residual RDA money that staff came up with a big old list, and we held the line on that list that was one-time money that we're never going to see again. And we don't have the money to do the infrastructure that the original debt service was going to do, but we can do some of it, and we need to hold firm. I do think, though, in a measured way, with some public input, we need to decide how we're going to do the rest. You know, I think we've done a good job with how our parks are, what kinds of measured services. We had one-time money through settlement with Colton Wastewater, $400,000, and that went to the general fund. And I pushed to get some relief in the city to have some community benefits funds. So there's the soccer teams and the sports leagues. I mean, I have 3 children. I have 10 grandchildren. I know what it's like to have all these expenses, and that was very important. Also, you know, the library. So we have this money, and you know, we should spend it wisely. And there's no free lunch, you know. So when we say grants and leveraging, you know, it's taxpayer money. I always laugh at Bernie Sanders' free tuition. I didn't know colleges were federal. You know, they're not. They're community, they're state funded. So this is, you know, state money that you deserve to get back into our pocket, but there's only so much of that we can do.
Thank you, Sylvia. Question number 4. Can you give us one positive quality that you can share about your opponent?
And I need to talk about it for 3 minutes. Are you prepared to do that? That's an example of a positive quality of my opponent. Is that although we are opponents and we disagree, there's the ability to have the discussion and to share a laugh. I do admire her perseverance on items that she's passionate about. And I enjoy working with her on the council. Because although we don't agree on every item, I think that there's an opportunity for both of us to work together to do well for the community. Because I know that both of us want the best for the community. The disagreement a lot of times comes from what we believe is the best way to get there or the right time frame. Thank you.
Thank you.
I think we'll all agree that Darcy has some fabulous energy, and she makes sure she does a damn good job of making sure the city is present in many things. She was ill for a period of time, and she kept it together. I accidentally sat in her chair once. So I promised you I wasn't sitting in the mayor's chair. I counted wrong, so we had a good laugh about that. But we have some disagreements, but that's what makes us do the best job for you. So you got to have some strong discussions.
Thank you. This is the last question. Darcy, do you have a business in the city of Grand Terrace? If yes, does your business currently have a business license, and will your business benefit from you sitting on the council?
Thank you. I do have a business. I have a home-based business only because it is a consulting business. And do I have a business license? Absolutely. I make sure that I have a business license, and I encourage others to do the same. Although I don't conduct a lot of my business in the city, I go to client sites. But I do work from home, and that qualifies as a home-based business. As far as my business benefiting from my being on the council, it may give me an opportunity to meet people I would not already meet. But my networking for the past 15 years, 20 years in my business has led me to make connections, a lot of them in Riverside County. It's allowed me to meet developers that wouldn't normally know about Grand Terrace, and a number of them have come and toured the city at my invitation. The city manager has had an opportunity to meet them. Because of my business and my networking, I've had opportunities to be in front of state legislators. When I go on advocacy trips with a council, a Chamber of Commerce, the legislators come to us. We're not running the halls. And that gives me a little bit more stature in front of them. But when we go around the table to introduce who we are, not only do I say that I have a consulting business, I say I'm the mayor of Grand Terrace. And the legislators get a different look on their face. And so I'm able to talk about the things that we need in this region, the things that will help Grand Terrace. And I'm there because of my business connections. And so I think that perhaps my business does get a little bit of a boost from my being on the council. But I believe that our city benefits from my business, and the way that I can bring our message to other parts of the region and to the state. Thank you.
Thank you, Darcy.
I don't know how I'm supposed to use up when I'm on a business. So I'll go into my business is, I have the pleasure of being retired from county government. I have a master's in public administration, 25 years local government experience. I worked for County Supervisor Barbara Reardon for 7 years, special districts. So, when it comes to using my talents with the budget, you can't fool me. on the budget. I'll catch it. As far as what we're doing with this fire assessment district, because of being in special districts, no worry, because, they can do whatever. We're going to detach from that. And we're going to create our own district, and we'll make it governed by the city council. I serve from the League of Cities for Revenue and Taxation. Legislators do come to us, because we're the League of Cities policy on revenue. League of Realtors comes to us. I'm invited as a city council, as many others are, and I'm able to go. Developers, just with Mission and met with them. Gardens Market, Vaughn's, Skechers, Deckers, all these, and I'm able to interface with them, and that's several times a year. So I'm out there for you, and people know where Grand Terrace is. It's on the map now. Thank you.
Thank you, Sylvia. So we have closing statements now. You have 3 minutes, and please tell us your background and why we should vote for you. Darcy?
Thank you. My education is in business and management. So I have a marketing degree, and I have a master's in business administration, which a lot of times lends itself to running of businesses. And some people say that's good for city government, and some people say, well, it's not, because government's not like a business. But what that does is that allows me to ask questions that maybe aren't traditional government employee questions to ask from a business perspective. And to make sure that we are avoiding decisions that bring risk to the city. I serve for our council on our Joint Powers Insurance Authority as a member city, and I was elected to their executive committee. So I get to see a lot of the claims that go through there, and I really get to understand that there are areas of risk assessment that we need to make sure we're paying attention to in the city. Before I served on council, I got involved to help the city as a volunteer because I believe in making community better by involvement, by working with others. And I didn't set out to serve on council. I had the opportunity to serve on the planning commission, and I learned a lot about the development in the city, the potential for our development in the city, and I really enjoyed that. And when there was an opportunity to become a council member, I did so because I thought I could make a difference in turning the direction that our city was going. I've enjoyed my time on the council. I think that there's more work to be done. I see my service as an extension of the community service that I started so many years ago. And I would really like to have another term of 4 years to help continue the progress that's been made in this city and to make sure that we hold the line on spending and we focus on the things that we need to. So I hope that you will consider that and that you will vote for me on November 6th. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I always wanted to serve on this council. In fact, I gave up working for Barbara Reardon because she said that you cannot be on my staff and serve on the Grand Terrace City Council. So I resigned, and that's how I ended up with special districts, and I immediately ended up in a car accident that created some spinal cord injuries. So that didn't happen for a long time, but when I retired, I was able to get involved. I have a business degree, and I have my master's in public administration. At special districts, I was a budget chief. I supervised a section. We had a $150 million budget. It was fire, it was refuse, it was water, it was parks. So I have a great deal of experience in that, and was just eager to share it in the city forum. My master's was figuring out RDA and this little weird thing about tax increment and where this funny money came from, and it's really out of your pocket. It was the growth in your property tax. And So I was just eager to share this, that, you know, we had crony capitalism going on. We were picking winners and choosers with your tax money. You know, we're returning $500,000 every year to our general fund by getting rid of RDA. Yeah, so, and the reason I want to serve is it's important not to have any conflicts of interest. When you get on the city council, when you're a mayor, you need to focus your full fidelity to the job at hand. And I think that that's what I offer in addition to my skills, and that's why I'm eager to continue in a different role. Thank you.
Thank you. That was Darcy McNamara, business owner, mayor, and Sylvia Robles, mayor pro tem. Let's give them a round of applause.